So once you install the app, it looks something like this. You have a couple different tabs you can go to. The one you'll probably spend the most time in is the calendar. If you don't have the tracker, you don't have to worry about this tracker tab here. And then I also like to look under insights for the reports. But to set up your tracking app, and I'll make a new space here. So you'll see, so I've got a lot. I've got a lot going on here, but I'll show you kind of how to set up the basics. So sample space here. And so once you have your space set up, and you'll kind of have a default one, you'll start with one anyway, you can add an activity. And I like to sort my activities. And again, my system is very granular at this point, but if you're just starting out, you can just put your different service types. So I'm going to pretend to be a graphic designer, which I am not, but I'm going to pretend. So I have one service type, which is logo design. And I have another service type, which is social branded images. And you can make these service categories as big or as small as you want. I think too small and then you end up with a category for every single new project that you do. Too large and you can't really, if you just did like graphic design, then that doesn't necessarily tell you a whole lot about the different types of work that you do. So the other thing I like to do is color code everything that is billable. So this is what clients will give me money to do, right? Clients will not give me money to market myself, at least not directly. My prices do cover that unbillable time, but so I change the icon color for all of the billable work so that when I go to my reports, I can kind of see all of that at a glance. And then you can add your other activity categories. So marketing, put sales on here. And I'm just going to do a couple for the sake of time. Sales, marketing, operations. So I've got my main categories of work. And so to start tracking, I just press this little play button here. And I can either add a note here, or when I stop tracking, I can add a note. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. So to give yourself more information that you can use, I like to add tags. And so Timeular has two types of tags. There's the @ tag, which I use for clients, and you can create a new client every time, whenever you do this. And then there's the hashtag tag. Then there's the hashtag that I use to kind of delineate sub activities. So maybe I would put email marketing on here, or more likely I'll put a project name. So I name that project like that. And then when I'm done, I just press the stop button. And that was too short of an entry, so it's not actually gonna do it on there. But when you can also go back and change an entry on here. So this is my entry for making slides and videos. But let's say I wanted to add a meeting. I have a tag on there that is for meeting. I'm gonna delete that because I don't want that on here. So you can use these different tags to give yourself more information about each of your different time entries. Like I said, I like to tag by project, and then I tag my meetings. You can also, if you want to, tag different events as billable or non-billable. I just go by the activity category, so I don't have a separate tag for that. The other thing that I have started to do, and let me see if I can show you an example here. The other thing that I've started to do is for project types, I have sub activities. So I create courses for clients, and I have now set up a system where I have an outlining tag, a workbook building tag, a sales page building tag, all for different steps in the process. And I like doing that because I can look back at a project and say, okay, this was a 30-page workbook. It took me 7 hours to write the thing and 4 hours to go over revisions with the client and 10 hours to work with the designer on the workbook, or whatever the case may be. When I break it out into those little individual parts, that gives me more information. So the next time I do a workbook, let's say it's a 60-page workbook, and I can say, okay, well, it'll take me longer to write for sure. It's probably not going to take me any longer to write the sales page for it. For a 30-page workbook versus a 60-page workbook probably doesn't make a difference. So just kind of knowing what the different components of each project for more complicated projects, that helps me next time when I'm scoping a project that is similar. And then to look at your reports, you come over here to Insights. Let me clear this out for you. And you can select by today, this week, this month, this quarter, this year, last week, last month, last year, all those things on there. So that gives you information kind of with trends over time. So I can show you, let's see, this quarter, I have worked 240.5 hours. This part here is sorted in order of size. So the activities that you spend the most time on will be at the top, and the activities you spend the least time on will be at the bottom. This is the pro version. So the basic app will not have the trends, I think, or I think this time graph. But what they will have is a list of the tags. So what I can do, let's say I want to see how much time I spent on, and I have a lot of tags in here. I have a lot of activities in here because I've played with a couple different schemes. But let's say I want to see how much time I spent on course creation projects. And I can see that on here. It's almost 40 hours. And then I want to see, okay, well, I also want to see how much time I spent on this particular project that's labeled 5 curricula. So I find the tag and it shows me how much time I spent on that project. So you can pull a lot of different stats from this, from the Insights page. What I